my mouse not coming over? There it is. Admit. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's not here. Where is it? There it is. All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Going to ask you a couple of questions today. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it before you answer it. Because it's important. It's about you having more of what you want. Now, I want you to really sit with the answer. Not the answer that sounds right, not the answer that you think will be the best answer. I want you to come up with the answer that's actually true. You know what you should be doing. You know what you should be doing. You've been doing it for a while. Maybe you've read the books, listened to the podcasts, paid for the programs, attended the challenges, gone to events, had breakthrough moments where everything made sense. And right now, you're still here. You're still here. You're still in this place where you feel lack, where you feel frustration. Not where you said you were going, not where you said, not who you said you're becoming. Still waking up and running the same loop. Still making the same decisions of deciding to get tough or deciding to get smart or deciding to do the work, and still having the same conversation with yourself at 10 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, whatever time it is that you realize you could become more. I'm not judging. Listen, I lived it. I lived it. I understand it. What I want to talk with you about today is the one thing that very, very few, dare I say, nobody in the personal development space is actually addressing. Not because they don't care, because they don't see it. Every conversation comes down to this, right? This is what you hear. They tell you, here's why you're stuck. Here's the mechanism you want to use to change that. Here's what to do differently. And that's useful. It's wildly useful. I'm not against it. I'm for it. Sounds like much of it is genuinely good science. The challenge, dare I say the problem, is that it assumes once you understand the thing, the mechanism, the tool, the tactic, the problem is that it assumes once you hear the secret for you, you can change everything. And that is not how the human mind works. That is not how us as human beings work. If understanding, listen carefully, I need you to hear this. Hopefully, I'll get it across good enough that you'll listen to it with the intent. What did Covey say? Seek first to understand, then be understood. I want you to understand this so you can, there's an understanding, you understood why you're stuck. Here's the challenge, and it assumes one big thing, that once you know the tool, the tactic, the technique, you can change the thing. When you hear the thing you know you're not doing and you go, that's it, that's what I need to do more of. The majority of personal development assumes that once you hear that golden nugget, that golden thread, that you know how to change it. That's not how human beings work. How do we know that? Listen, if understanding was enough, every person, would you say we have a weight problem in the United States? Do you think there's people who read diet books Do you think there's people who Googled, how do I lose 20 pounds? If understanding was enough, whoever read a diet book would be at their ideal weight. Every person who ever took a sales training course, bought a product, read a book, would be at their ideal income. If understanding was enough, every person who ever had a breakthrough conversation would still be living from that breakthrough. You understand plenty. So why aren't you? Here's what very few, dare I say nobody, is saying out loud. The part of you that knows what to do and the part of you that actually does the thing are not the same person. They live in the same body, they share the same name, and they are in different. They are in different frequencies. They are in direct conflict with each other every single day. That's why you need discipline. If you understood the thing you wanted, the secret you needed, the tactic you could do, if you wanted that, if you understood that, guess what? You would not need discipline. I want you to hear that. So the part of you that knows what to do and the part of you that actually does the things, needs to do the things, are not the same person. They live in the same body, they share the same name, and they are in direct conflict with each other every single day. And the one that wins is almost never the one you consciously choose. Listen carefully. Here's the part that might make it a little easier for you to understand this. The one of you that always wins, the one of you that wins more often, is not the one you consciously choose. It is the one that was installed first. Installed, not chosen by you, not yours, not your own decision. Here's what research shows. 90%. That's a pass. That's almost an A. That's a good grade if you got 90% on a test, right? 90% of what I believe, 90% of what you believe about yourself, what you're capable of, what you deserve, what's safe to want. Those would be all important things for you to have influence over, right? 90% of that was handed to you before you had the language to question it. It came from the house you grew up in, the people who raised you, the experiences you had before your brain was finished developing. The shame got planted before you even knew your own name. And here's the thing about installed programming. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about one thing, keeping you in a pattern it recognizes as safe. You've heard the brain described as doing two primary things. Will this kill me? Or how fast could I recognize a pattern? So your brain is constantly needing to do the safe things in a way it's always done safe things. Your brain needs to do safe things in a way it has always been programmed to do safe things. And here you are being a rebel, wanting to expand your income and expand your influence and increase your growth and increase your viability and increase everything about you. And the installed programming says no. Neuroscience has a name for this. It's called the default mode network. This isn't some flashy sales presentation of why what I'm about to tell you is better or easier or the new slick trick, target, tactic, technique. This is science. This is neuroscience. It's called the default mode network. Your brain's an operating system, one running in the background when you're not consciously focused on anything. The majority of our day is done from habitual activities. This default mode network, it holds your identity, your self-concept, science calls it, the story of who you are and what's possible for you. It's why you say things like, why am I so stupid? Why am I so, when am I going to get my break? Why does this happen to me? It holds your identity, your self-concept, the story of who you are and what's possible for you. And it runs your life, not your goals. Your default mode network doesn't sync up with the last training you've been to. It doesn't sync up with your journal or your notes or your dream board. It runs your life, not your goals, not your intentions, not your affirmations, not your default mode, the automatic, the familiar. They did a study with kittens. Hang with me, stay with me. They did a study with kittens. They raised newborn kittens in complete darkness, except for a few hours of day where the kittens could only see, listen carefully, horizontal lines. No vertical, only horizontal lines. When they put those kittens into a normal environment, they would literally walk into table legs and chair legs, vertical objects right in front of them. The kittens were not blind. Their eyes worked perfectly. Their brain simply had not been programmed to see the vertical lines. Did the lines exist in reality? Yes. The lines did not exist in their reality. Now, over time, as they bumped into things, they saw the vertical lines and their brain adapted and adopted and took on this new understanding that vertical lines do exist. They were blind to them, a phenomenon known as intentional blindness. They were intentionally blinded. Here's the question. Who has intentionally blinded you to your own success? Intentionally blinded you to your increased income? Intentionally blinded you to your perfect relationship? See, the opportunity you're not seeing isn't invisible. The version of you, the version of yourself you want to become isn't unavailable. Your opportunity isn't invisible. It's why other people say, I wonder why they struggle. It's why other people can see in you the thing you can't see. It's not invisible to others. It's invisible to you. And it's not invisible. The version of you that you want to become isn't unavailable. I want you to hear this. I want you to give yourself some grace when I say this. Your brain has not been programmed to believe it, to recognize it as real. And here's what makes this very personal. The program in your brain, the default mode, the identity, the story of what's possible for you, this wasn't built from your experience alone. It was built from the nervous system. I need you to hear this. I need you to give yourself some grace. It was built from the nervous system of every person who raised you, who taught you, who shaped you, from their nervous system. And the most important thing I can share with you, I can tell you about this, is that it is not your fault. Here's the hard part. It is your responsibility. How you were raised, where you were raised, what you learned, what you were taught that was good and not good, and you've now seen a little bit different. It was not your fault. Here's the great news. At this moment, right now, hearing this, it is your responsibility, your ability to respond and make the necessary changes, the adaptations, to do the things that are required to see the invisible opportunity of your life and make it visible. To take the unavailable desire that you have and make it available. I want to ask you something most people have never been asked. Who is going to be jealous of your success? Take a moment with that, because your brain just gave you an answer and immediately tried to talk you out of it. No, well, nobody's going to be nobody's going to be jealous of my success, right? That's the safe answer. Nobody would be jealous. The people in my life want what's best for me. And somewhere underneath that, nobody would be jealous. There's a name, a face, a relationship. That name, that relationship is what I call the front row seating. The people who have front row access to your life. The people whose voices got installed so deep, you don't even hear them. You hear them as your voices. You don't hear their voices anymore. You hear them as your truth. You hear them as your own thoughts. Here's the things maybe they said that you now operate with. Don't embarrass me. Don't think you're better than us. Who do you think you are? That's too much. You'll never be able to keep that up. You've always been this way. We're not those kind of people. Those aren't your thoughts. Those are all of the people who've had a front row seating to your life. And they've had better seats in your life than the people who actually want to see you win. Do you know why sometimes, if you've ever been in sales, they say, well, don't talk to anybody yet. Let us help you. It's going to be better if you don't talk to the people who are close to you. Wait a minute. You were wanting to do something to better your life, and the first thing you're told, and it's probably true, is don't talk to those who are closest to you about the change you've just signed up for. Why? Because their programming is stronger than your desire. Here's what I've learned. What I've experienced, what I've lived, working with people for over 30 years across 30 plus different countries. The reason people can't cross that line isn't their discipline. You've got discipline. It isn't the strategy. You have the strategy. It isn't the right program. You've got great programs. It isn't the right mentor or coach. You've got great mentors or coach. It's loyalty. They are loyal to the system that needed them small. Loyal to a version of themselves that can't keep the peace. You became loyal to those front row voices. It's called addiction to approval. It's called operating out of shame. See, crossing that line from where you are to where you want to be means disappointment. Disappointing the people who said, you're not enough. Disappointing the people who said, we don't do that. Disappointing the person who said, don't embarrass me. Real people, people who you love and people who love you. The only way they knew how to love you. Their programming wasn't wrong. It was the best they could give you. The challenge is now is you have to take the responsibility, the ability to respond and make the shift, make the change. And most people would rather stay stuck than do that. Think about what you want. Right now, think about what you want. Think about the goal, the version of your life you've been chasing. Think about it. Bring it to consciousness. Bring it to the front of your mind. Now ask yourself, where do you feel that in your body? I want you to think about your goal. I want you to think about this thing, this next big target. Could be something you need to do in 30 days. Could be something you need to do in 4 weeks. Something you could, well, that'd be the same thing. Something you want to do in 6 months. What's a big goal you've got sitting on your shoulders right now? I want you to feel it. Where do you feel that in your body? Don't think about it. Just notice where the feeling of that goal, that success lives. Now ask yourself this. Is that where you want the feeling to be? Or is it where you actually feel it? I ask this question a lot of times. People go, I feel it in my heart. And I go, if you felt it in your heart, you'd be doing it. Let me ask you a question. Search your body. Take a minute. Let your body reveal to you where your goal is hiding, where the energy to make that shift is hiding, where the desire is showing up in your body, not where you want it to be, not where somebody told you it should be, where it actually lives in your body. Could be in your pinky, could be in your right buttocks cheek. I don't know. I know it's not usually where we have our instant response. I feel it in my heart. I'm not sure. You might feel it eventually there. If it was there, you'd be doing things different, because most people, when they ask that second question, when I ask you that second question, something shifts. The feeling moves. They realize they were giving me a performance answer, the place they thought it was supposed to be, the place that sounds right. Have you ever lost your keys and somebody said, oh, they're on the counter? And you go to the counter and they're not there. Oh, that was the last place I saw them. So do you stand at the counter constantly? Well, that's where they saw them. They must be here. I can't see them there. So you stand at the counter looking for your lost keys? No, you keep searching. You know what the challenge is with most personal development conversations? Is the person is telling you where they found their keys, and it sure as hell ain't the place where you're going to find your key. And yet you keep looking where they found theirs. Because it's easier to say, well, I'm doing what they told me, versus living out your own dreams. And people will spend 5 minutes, 5 years, 5 decades looking in somebody else's pantry for the success that's hidden in theirs. See, what just happened in this moment is significant. For possibly the first time, you had the authority over your own internal experience. You directed your body, not through willpower, not through discipline. You directed your body and became aware through something known as awareness. That is the work. Not installing more information, not adding more content, removing what was installed so you can feel what is actually there. This is what I call personal undevelopment. Not development, undevelopment. Michelangelo didn't build the statue of David. He chipped away everything that wasn't David. The David was already inside the marble. You are already inside this magnificent miracle called you. The work is removing what's been layered on top of you. So here, as we wrap up, I've been blessed to do this work for over 30 years, 3 decades. I've been in rooms and on stages in more than 30 plus countries. I've sat across from people who had everything on paper and nothing inside. I've sat across from people who had nothing and carried more freedom than anyone I have ever met. And you know what? What I know in a way I couldn't know from reading a book or studying a theory is the thing that between you and the life you actually want is not more information. It's not better strategy. It's a readiness to receive what's on the other side of the door. You keep putting your hand on the knob to open it. It's this readiness to receive what's right there, just beyond that door that you've approached and stood in front of many times. Most people visit their greatness. They get a glimpse of peace. They feel it for a moment. And then the installed loop, the installed programming pulls you back to the familiar, back to listening to the front row voices, back inside the loop. What I do is I help people occupy their dreams. Occupy. Think about that. You visited your goals, your dreams, your wants. What would change if you began to occupy? If in building, in order for a house to be lived in, they need a CO, a certificate of occupancy, that it's okay to move in to the house they've been building. You have been building your house of success. You have been constructing it. You've laid the foundation. You've put the walls up. You've installed the wiring. You've installed the plumbing. You've installed the walls coverings, the sheetrock, and the painted the rooms, and you've put the lights in. Your house, the question you have to ask yourself is your house of success ready to occupy? I help you learn to arrive at a space and a place where you feel and believe that you can finally, for once, occupy, stay in your success, build the life from the inside instead of chasing it from the outside. And here's the question I need to ask you before anything else. Are you ready for the love? I would dare, nobody has ever asked you that in a mental toughness, overcoming addiction to approval, in a goal success training formula. It's probably a very rare thing if anybody has ever asked you, are you ready for the love? Not love as a concept, love as a state where you are no longer performing for your own approval, where you've left those front row voices, you've left them in their seats, where you want to build that thing that you know you've been capable of, where you have built who you are, finally matches with the frequency you want to live. If that question hit you somewhere real, I want you to continue this conversation with me. Not to sell you something, to show you something. There's a link. a number to text. Either way, what comes next is a conversation, not a funnel, a real conversation, the real work. The results are real. And if you've been listening to this and something in you said yes, that's real too. Don't argue with it. Reach out. Let's have a conversation. Ask yourself, is this the moment I truly say yes to more? Or will the old programming say things like, oh, I've tried that, or that will never work for me? That's the old programming. Would the person who wants more in their life, would the person who says, I am worth more, I am capable of more, I know there's more for me, would that person say, wow, this all sounded good, it probably won't work for me? Would that person who knows you're capable of more say that? Or is that the old program running? See, where you're about to step is into the unknown, the uncomfortable. I can tell you this, that's what's on the other side of the door. The truth of your creativity and your possibility exists there, not on this side. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling. Let's get through to the other side misfit. I'll see you where.